I want to talk about crew in photography, and we're going to talk about two different bits about this. We're going to talk about when you need the crew and what the crew are. At some point, you're going to go, this is too much, and that is fine. Professional commercial photographers do not do everything. We do not. We do not do the whole thing. There's a whole team of people behind us, and I want to talk to you about who that team is and when to get them. Now, if like me, you started out in sort of humble beginnings, you had your camera. This is my first real digital camera, it's a 5D Mark II, and my 24-70 lens. This did everything, and it was me and this, and that was it. We did the lot. It's all pretty straightforward. I went home, I edited badly, and delivered the files badly. But that's how I started. And then all of a sudden, things start to get a bit busy, and you've got more kit, you've got bags, and you're carrying it, and you're dripping in sweat, and you're tired, and you're shattered, and you've got all this gear going around, and batteries on charge, and you need an assistant, and chances are at the start you'll hire a freelance one, a gigging assistant, someone to come in and do the work. When you're at the beginning, it's probably not a professional assistant, but as you get higher up the rankings, there are professional assistants, and let me tell you, they are the best people in the world. They're calm as anything, cool as a cucumber. They know how every bit of kit works, they know where it goes, how to put it together, how to break it down, all this stuff. It is a career path. It is, and the people who do this are so good, and I could never do it. I know this, I've tried. But that is the assistant. That's probably the first port of call you get. Now, once you're moving along a bit, there's other crew that come in. Depending on the genre of photography you're doing, you might have hair and makeup, you might have a food stylist, a home economist, a prop stylist, wardrobe, whatever it may be. There's all these extra people that come in. You have set stylists, and they're part of your team, but they're their own very clear, different type of work going on in there. And these come along again when work gets to a level where it matters. If you're looking at a job and going, their expectations are here and their budget is here, this all aligns, we get this crew in. You know, if you're looking at a shoot going, their expectations are here, their budget is here, then you need to do some expectation management, because they can't have the all singing, all dancing shoot with perfectly styled food if you're styling and shooting. You know, there's limits to what you can do. So it's all about you, and it's your job to manage that situation. If you find you're getting yourself in sticky situations over this sort of stuff, it's your fault. You need to manage it better. Okay, so that's the beginnings of stuff. Now, as you get further along, you start to need more people, and you need what's called a digi-tech, or a digital technician. And that's the person who stands. Let me show you. I say stand, they often sit. I've stole their chair. But they sit back here. This is my tether trolley, my laptop, their computer, whatever sits here. We've got a hub and a home drive here, which is auto backs to. They sit here and they manage the files. They fire the camera a lot of the time because it's all remote shot, but they manage the files. They name the files, they flag the files, they do annotations on it for the retoucher, which we'll get to, and they make sure everything's backed up and that everything's ingested into my main system. That's their job. They'll also do color grades. They'll also do brilliant stuff like checking you're in focus, because the bigger the job, the higher the stress, the more moving parts, the easier it is to lose track of what you're doing. You do this, and you accidentally knock the camera, and you keep shooting, and the focus has moved back 3mm, and it is vital. And that's their job. That's a digi-tech. They're very, very useful people. They often are the DJ for the day as well, unless I don't like their music, in which case they're not. But that is what the digi-tech does. And they work alongside the retoucher. Now, I can retouch-ish, but the actual professional retouchers, that is all they do. They just retouch. Most of them don't even own a camera. They don't have anything to do with photography. They are retouching, just like the work they can do is phenomenal. And you normally get in a professional retoucher once budget allows. You know, as soon as the budget allows it, you get one, because they're better than you at it. I don't care how good you are at Photoshop. If it isn't your full-time job, being a retoucher, they're better than you. Imagine somebody who uses a camera like as a passport photo job once a day for half an hour, saying that they could do your job. That's the equivalent of us saying that we could retouch like they can. You can't. I don't care how good you think you are, you're not. Professional retouchers are just worth their weight in gold. They're brilliant. Okay, and that's the next step in the ladder. Now, like with photographers, retouchers come at different levels. There's obviously the ones who do retouching as well as photography, and they're sort of here, and then it kind of goes up until you get to like places like the Forge or something like that, where it's like a retouching house, and you know, their work is just next level good, and you know, it really matters. And again, it's part of the job. You have to work with these teams. Now, as these teams are getting bigger, you obviously have people to manage, and that's when you need a producer. So my agency has a lovely producer and we have her in-house, so she comes on jobs, but before that we use freelance producers. And the producer makes everything work. And it sounds ridiculous, but like, has lunch turned up? Has everyone got a parking space? There's train delays. Do we know how to get people to the next location? Or whatever it is, like someone who's got an allergy and the wrong lunch has arrived, can we sort that out? The product hasn't arrived from the client, can we get the producer to find someone to go and shop for it to bring it in? Whatever it may be, the producer does that, and the producers are so important and so useful. They really, they keep the shoot running, they keep it all together. Now, alongside a producer, I also have an agent, and my agent sort of looks after me, I guess is the best way to say things. She helps guide my career, she helps negotiate fees, contracts, all of that sort of stuff. Now, at this point here, you're thinking, well, what on earth do you do if someone's doing this, that, and the other? Well, I'm the person who makes sure it looks good. I'm the person who makes sure we capture the right image. That is my job as the photographer. Everyone else around here helps me narrow my focus so I'm just doing one thing. And that is when your work gets a lot better, when you only have to do the one thing. When you're trying to negotiate overtime for people and you're trying to organize missing stuff and do the retouching and do the tethering and check it's so many things, it's impossible to create good work. It's just not. It's the same in any line of work. If you just reduce everything down to one simple task, you'll do better at it. Now, of course, with this comes large budgetary restraints. You know, having a full crew on set costs tens of thousands of pounds. And not every client's got that. And your work as a photographer also has to be good enough to warrant having that. You know, it's not just, well, I'm going to do that so I'm good. You have to get nearly to that point first and then make the leap. And of course, alongside all these different bits, these are all viable career paths as well. A lot of photographers start out as photographers and end up being a digitech, then end up being a retoucher, because, you know, I didn't know a digitech existed when I was at college. No one told me. Even as a professional, I didn't know one existed until I got one. I was like, what's this dude doing? And they're like, he's your digitech. He's looking after your files for you. And that's a nice thing, not having to worry about, are we backed up? Have we deleted anything by mistake? Is it all good? Or, you know, it's such a game changer having these people in place. And I think as soon as the budget allows it and the job will produce good work, take these people on. If you're doing a job which allows it, doesn't really need it, and the work you're producing is not going to be great, don't worry about it. But if you get a job and you go, do you know what, maybe we'll use this as a loss leader, we'll get a crew in and we'll actually create something absolutely banging for this client because it's got the scope within this to really bring in an assistant, bring in a digitech or a retoucher, whatever it is that you feel that outsourcing would really help. And likewise with test shoots, we often have a digitech, we always have an assistant, always have a stylist, and always have a retoucher. Because the work I need to produce at my level has to be alongside that. And without those people in the chain, the work isn't of that level. So that's where these crew members come in. Now, of course, for the first 8 years of my career, I didn't have those. I had an assistant, but that was it. And they weren't really a professional assistant. They were a photographer who also assisted. You know, whereas these professional assistants in places like London are just the skills they have and the way they make your life better is like, I just wish I could afford to have one around me 24/7 just in general life. Like imagine going to the pub and your pint just arrives perfectly without any stress. You know, that's just, it's nice. Anyway, I hope this has been of use to you. If you want to know more about the commercial world of photography, do subscribe to this channel. That is what this is all about. It's about actual working photography rather than YouTube photography. And you know, it's trying to look at the actual business side of things and what's actually going on in the industry from my point of view. And as I learn and as I progress through this as well, you know, I am by no means the big Mac daddy of food. But as I progress through this, I'll hopefully be able to impart more knowledge onto you guys, and hopefully you can use it to speed your careers up, because it took me a long time to get to where I am. And if I'd have just known some of this stuff earlier, it'd have been a lot easier. Anyway, see you all soon. Bye-bye.